Yo, back at you with another video. This is Static P and the man. Okay. Joe, flow. When I'm just letting these rhymes flow, they don't stop at the dough. They just keep coming.
I
Yo.
guess. Wow.
And so, anyways, I guess so. Oh, okay. All right. Hi guys, welcome to Don't Worry Wednesday. The show where we talk about whatever's on your mind. And we don't do what I opened. We don't do that ever again. Um,
Exactly, Lay. That's what I'm thinking right there. That was.
oh, that
Huh.
was, huh?
Huh.
Yeah, exactly. Rapper P. All right. Now that I got that out of the way, welcome to Don't Worry Wednesday, the show where we talk about whatever's on your mind. The show where we talk about the issues and the problems and the suffering in life, and hope to give a pathway through it. I hope to give meaning to it. Um, you know, we aren't psychologists or psychiatrists or anything that along those lines, but we can attempt to be a good friend. A lot of times, you guys know how to solve your own problems, but sometimes a little bit of encouragement can go a long way, or a different perspective on things can help us take that next step a lot faster and a lot better. So that's what we're here to do: share our life experiences and relate them to yours. Um, but yeah, um, I think I've said all of it. Yeah, that was sufficient. If you guys want to have us talk about anything, please just write it in the comment section, or send us an email at dww@bss.studio. You can post it on our website as well. You can see the link provided above, Princess Yellow. So uh, uh, put it in the chat for you guys, and it is bss.studio. So, or you can send a Discord message if you want.
Mhm.
Not a disc scored. That would be that would just be a stutter. It's Discord, not disc scored.
That's right.
Anyways, how you guys
Discord.
doing tonight? How you guys? Everybody in the chat, how you guys doing? Um, if you're doing awesome, drop a dab. If you're not doing awesome, don't let us know that. Drop a dab.
Drop a.
Uh,
What?
that's right.
Wait a minute.
I
What's
want to see
this show
everybody
about?
dabbing
Wait,
in the
come on,
chat.
come on, come on. If you're not doing awesome, that's
All right.
okay. It's okay to not be
If you're
doing
not doing
awesome all the
awesome, send
time.
like a heart or a hug. Yeah. Send a heart or a hug, and then other people will give you a hug back, and then it will look like everyone's having a bad time, which would be nice for you, because then you won't be feeling like you're the only one having a bad time. So if you're having a bad time tonight, just drop a heart in that chat.
Hmm.
Um,
I'll drop a heart in that chat anyway, just because I like
ooh,
hearts.
Brackus making cheesecake. Dang, that sounds like a dab time.
That's a
Joe, how's
dab
it going?
time. That's a
How you
dab
doing?
time. Man, I'm
Yeah, why
better.
is it dab if you're doing well?
I'm gonna see if anyone in the chat has ever listened to this show. I'm better than I deserve. How are you? I'm sure
Oh
nobody
wow,
listens to
I've
that
heard
show.
that line many times.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard that line many times without actually watching the show.
Listening. Well, I guess it's probably on YouTube too.
Yes, listening. Yeah,
But yeah,
listening
it's
is what
a.
I meant.
I've
But
always just listened to the podcast. So yeah, like, how you doing?
mm.
Better than I deserve. Hello, Baka. Hello, Sole. Hello. Is it? Am I? I hope I
Am
said
I?
that right. Am I?
Yeah, you
And
got it.
Lay,
Am
you
I?
guys are awesome. Sounds like Hank Hill. He does kind of sound like Hank Hill.
it did. It did actually.
It does, yeah. But he does too, which is
Do you sell propane and propane accessories?
he does not. He sells
Oh,
financial advice. He's Dave Ramsey.
mm,
That's the Dave Ramsey show
Dave
where cash
Ramsey.
is king, debt's dumb, and the whatever. I don't know. I don't know the whole thing.
Hmm.
Where debt is dumb and cash is king, and the paid off home mortgage has replaced the BMW as the status symbol of choice. I'm your host, Dave Ramsey.
Wow, dang man, nice. You're too good.
I don't know about
All
that.
right,
But so I'm
Princess,
better
how
than
you
I
doing?
deserve.
You doing good? There.
Cheers.
Hi. That means yes. Um, in Japanese land.
That's huh.
Ah, all this talk of cheesecake. My sister-in-law made a cheesecake once, and it was like the perfect blend of tasting like cheesecake and custard. It was awesome.
Both of which
It
are
was
gross.
spectacular. Yeah, I like them both a lot. So,
Both are nasty.
oh, you know what's really good, Joe?
Chick-fil-A.
Mushrooms on your custard.
I bet I bet that's outstanding.
I mean, that's amazing.
I bet
Yeah.
that's outstanding,
Ryan.
as in standing out, as in
Yeah,
out
yeah.
there.
In all the wrong ways. Hey, Joe doesn't like mushrooms. That's why I said it.
Yeah. Oh wow, Lay, you survived a gas explosion?
2 a.m.
Oh my gosh. To burn the hair off your wrist.
What?
Yeah, hey. Good job.
Oh,
I'm
jeez.
glad you survived and you did good. Whew.
Wow. Yeah, don't do that, Lay.
Yeah,
That's
careful. Careful
it's a
with
bad
gas.
deal.
Gas is
Careful.
yeah. Gotta be mindful of your propane and
Yeah,
your propane accessories.
That's right. And also be wary of gas plugs. I almost killed myself with a gas plug when I was a kid.
A gas plug? What's a gas plug?
I don't know why it's called a gas plug. A gas plug is basically a plug that's created. You have a plug and then a cord,
Mm-hmm.
and then at the end of the cord is all the wires.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not going anywhere.
Oh, they're
And
just
you're supposed to take
open?
that and put it into something. Yeah.
Ah.
But I had twisted them all together and I plugged it in. I was like, oh, what's this do?
Oh my gosh. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. Wow.
Yeah.
I'm glad you're still alive.
Me too.
Yes.
Thanks be to God. Here I am.
Exactly, hero.
Almost killed my friend with that too. Yeah, me and my friend both almost died. Bruh.
Yep. You don't do that.
Yeah. I 100% agree with you, Amai.
I had a similar time one time. I was an adult and I was working in a shop.
Oh.
And I was doing instrument repair, right? And so we had these, those rope lights like for Christmas, where they're like a bunch of Christmas lights inside this little tube thing, right? And you can cut them to length, right? So you just cut them.
Oh,
and
yeah.
It's
one of those. Okay.
Yep. And so my rope light was a little too long, and so I went to cut it, but I had left it plugged in.
Oh no.
And it went, and all the lights went out. It like blew
Oh my gosh.
It blew the breaker. It was hilarious. But yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, I think that's why scissors tend not to be metal where you hold them.
Right.
There are scissors that have metal where you hold them, but most scissors are plastic or rubber down there.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And for good reason.
Probably for electrical safety. Yeah.
Yes. If they had been metal, I would have probably been damaged a little bit, slightly. Temporarily.
Yeah. Yeah.
Speaking of poof breakers.
Yes.
That reminds me of the time my dad accidentally jumped the car with the wrong direction and blew all the breakers in the car.
Oh no.
Oh no.
It was right after he said, "Don't do this wrong."
Oh no.
And then he did it wrong, and then he was like, "Well, that's gonna be okay. It's fine."
Wow.
So yeah, that had anyway. Sorry.
Wow.
Awesome.
Fun with electricity.
Jeez.
Electricity is careful. Electricity is careful. Electricity is something to be mindful of and careful around. It's invisible, and it can kill you.
And it makes for catchy songs. Electricity, electricity.
I've never heard that
It's
song until right now.
Me neither. Awesome.
All right.
Let's get into the show, guys. I'm gonna run through this list, and if you're on it, just say anything in the chat so we know that you're here.
Mm-hmm.
And for everybody else, feel free if you want us to talk. If you're going through anything, maybe recently you got into an accident and you're trying to recover from it, and you're looking for some active advice at recovering from it, or maybe you had a recent death in the family and you want us to talk about that, or maybe you're having relationship issues. Anything. If you're going through anything and you want us to talk about it, or you want want to vent even, feel free to share. And just know that everybody in the chat is amazing and we're not going to judge you.
Mm-hmm.
So nothing is too much to bear.
Mm-hmm.
Feel free to, we can talk about anything. So we've got Ian Lam, Ezekiel Games, Dracon, Lord Francium, LG, Toast, Garo, Ash, Immature Successes. No, it's just Success. Immature Success, and Joe B.
Joe B.
The one from Joe B I read wrong because it's the same word but spelled differently. Or sorry, spelled differently. Different word but spelled the same. That's what I meant to say. And I read it. His topic is how to be content.
Good question.
Why did English make content in content the same spelling? How to be content makes way more sense than how to be content. Joe, we don't want you to be content. We don't want to be, we don't want to see you as an object. How to be content. Yeah, light yourself on fire and the world will come to watch you burn.
That's right. Just get
that's
out
how
your
you be
phone
content.
camera, get out your phone, put yourself on YouTube. English is stupid. I agree.
There you go. Yeah.
All right. Well, I know I saw Garo here at one point in time.
Yeah.
Garo, are you still here?
Garo, are you with us? I hope so.
Hero says, I want to be a content creator and a content creator. Yes. To be a content creator would be great, right? To be content with your content. See, that takes a long time for me. I'm a musician and I produce music, right? And Ryan knows this. It takes me a long time to be content with my content.
Yes.
But that doesn't make me incontinent.
That's a great phrase. That's content. Okay, there's an extra Ian.
There's an extra
Ian in that one.
I think it's Ian, but yeah, there's an extra syllable in that one.
Yeah, you're right. It is Ian.
Hey, Garo is here.
Awesome. Right. Garo is with us. So let's do that one.
Yes.
So this one from Garo is titled Death. It was posted by Princess, and she's going to do the honors of reading it for us.
Can you talk about death? I was visiting some cemeteries, and it reminded me of how scary it is. From Garo.
All right. Yeah, absolutely. We can talk about death. When you talk about death, it's an interesting topic. It's hard to talk about death and not get into religious discussions. So just out of curiosity, Garo, are you a religious person by any?
Garo, I think you're right. We did go over this 2 weeks. We did do this topic a few weeks ago, I think.
Was I not here for it?
Okay.
Maybe. Oh, that could have been.
If you wasn't here for it, you guys have to mark it in the chat because I can't.
I know.
We didn't.
You have all these.
Yeah, I was like, wait a minute. I was thinking the same thing. I was like, oh, we talked about this, but
it's a good topic.
This is another one.
Yeah.
Let me stop that. I'm
no,
sorry,
it's our
Princess.
Fault. We can't expect you to watch the videos and take it off.
That's right.
Yeah, it's totally our fault.
Well, I mean, you could, but it would be a lot to put on me.
It would.
Garo, do you have another one you want us to talk about?
That's
sorry. Being sorry. That's a good topic, Garo. What are you sorry for? What'd you do?
That was totally our fault. Our fault. And that's...
Are there any others on the list that you've already gone over that I should?
I don't think so.
Just take them all off.
No, take them all off.
then we won't have any. I think we won't ever have this mistake again.
I wonder if Joe B would be content with us doing his topic
Yeah.
without him
Pretty
here.
sure
than a
his
constant
is
save,
just.
sorry.
You know,
Yeah.
Well, I mean, because he raised that
I'm sure he would
topic.
be. He raised the topic when he was the person willing to talk about it.
I think we did lay,
wait,
but I'll go back.
the
through my
memory
list
of a
really
goldfish
quick.
from July 15th. Did we talk about the topic from July 15th?
Oh, we might have that. Is that on the old queue?
Well, July 15th was just a little bit ago.
No.
We probably
There's
didn't
one
because
from
that
SK
might.
from July 15th. Called Getting into University. That's actually pretty amazing
But
because
that's
it's
from-
exactly 1 year ago.
Yeah.
Correct.
So, in July 15th, was that when you were not here?
If it was, perhaps I missed it, but I can look back and just double check. So we're looking for something from July.
Yeah,
15th.
Return of the one-word topics. Sorry. That's actually a really good word for a topic.
Sorry. Yeah.
'Cause there's
for a
lots of
one-word
ways-
topic.
You
that's
mean
really
July
good.
14th?
Oh, that probably
Whoa.
makes more sense because, yes,
Probably.
because that would have been the Wednesday. July 15th was Thursday, wasn't it? Thank you
Uh-huh.
guys for
What's
bearing
it-
with us while we
what's it
get
titled?
ourselves figured out here.
Yeah.
I do not see it being moved over into the done category. So
Okay.
Okay.
we can do it again, even if it's already been done before.
Is it the goldfish?
Nope, it's romantic feelings and platonic friendships,
Oh,
and it totally could be time zones, but
yep.
I
Time
just-
zones. That makes sense. Romantic feelings and platonic relationships.
because we definitely did. There was
Did we do
5
that?
that day, so it's possible that it got missed because it was the last one on the
Mm.
of the. Because we had Anonymous, Harmony, Sparrow, Immature Success, and Lay all that day, so it might have just gotten lost in translation,
I
which happens from time to time. So
I like this topic though. I really like this topic, even if we, I don't remember covering it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But-
I think this is good. This is a good one. Well, let's do it.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys. Thank you, Joe, and especially Princess for figuring this out, and thank you, Lay, for putting this forward and allowing us to see it. You're awesome. I
Mhm.
love you super hard. This is from Lay. It's titled "Romantic Feelings and Platonic Friendships," as was stated. So yeah, whenever Princess is ready, she's gonna read it for us.
I have obvious romantic feelings for someone who's in a healthy, prospering relationship. I know it'd be much easier to distance myself from that person so as not to get hurt. However, I want to stay and be a good friend for them since they are a good friend to me. On top of that, I have a really weird/beautiful definition of love, where being hurt or rejected does not make me drop my feelings instantly. So the question I guess I have is, could it be worth a shot putting in the work through the hurt and pain of supporting my friends and the relationship and stay close to them? I feel like losing my friends would hurt me more than being rejected and seeing them happy. And I can still consistently have fun near them. From Lay.
Mm.
Yeah. No, this is I mean, we've had a topic similar to this, but this is definitely my first time hearing this one. So
Mhm.
yeah.
Yep.
This is
And
new.
Raka's the actual authority. He says, I remember this one. It wasn't actually covered, but I remember reading it. So yes. Yes.
Okay. Okay. Cool. Yeah, this is a good topic. Thank you, Lay. Yeah, it's a really hard thing. I think we've probably all experienced a situation. Most of us, anyways, have experienced a situation where you like someone a lot. You have romantic feelings for them, but for one reason or another, it cannot be, and so you struggle with that pain, and you just bear with it, or you have the choice of walking away. so you don't have to feel that pain. And I think you can choose either in your right state of mind. I don't think there's a right or wrong, right? There's no, oh, that would be sinful to do that, right? I don't think either of those options are a bad option, but I think one tends to have more possibility for good in it, depending on the scenario, right? Sometimes you're in a relationship with someone and it is not healthy to be in a relationship with that person, even as a friend, because there are just people that are bad for your health, bad for your mind, etc. And if it's not one of those, but it hurts, it depends on who the person. Are you a person to get overwhelmed, or are you a person that can stick through it and show strength? Are you a person that is continuing to grow through that trouble, or are you caving in and continuing to decline in your mental and physical well-being? These are good questions to ask yourself. And if you find yourself declining in mental stability, you have two options. You have the option of saying, okay, I'm not going to let that happen anymore and leave that friendship. Or you have the option to say, I'm not going to let that happen to me anymore. I'm not going to be that kind of person. And you stick through it, and you force yourself to start being conscious of that and moving forward, rather than allowing the suffering that you're going through to make you decline in wellness. But yeah, this is a good topic. I'm looking forward to what Joe will have to say about this. But yeah, so anyways, take it away, Joe.
There's a lot that can be said about this topic. I want to start by asking you a question, though, Lay, on a clarification. You said in your first sentence, I have obvious romantic feelings for someone who's in a healthy, prospering relationship. So now when you say obvious, does that mean obvious to you or obvious to them? Because if it's obvious to them that you have romantic feelings for this person, then I might recommend a different approach based on that. So if it's obvious, but it's fair. Only obvious to you, and you know it, but it's inside. That's a little bit different than if it's obvious to them, and like every time you're around them, you're obviously having these romantic feelings for this person who's in a relationship with this other person, right? So that can kind of lend itself to a little bit of discomfort for them, and then possibly be a wedge in your friendship anyway, right? So while you're answering that question, I guess I'll just kind of get started. Ryan talked a little bit about suffering through this, and that really is kind of what happens. I remember reading in the Static P Friends server at one point. I think it was in the Help Me section, where Senna and Barrow they were kind of talking about the beginnings of their relationship, and Senna said something about how Barrow, how he asked her out the first time was, hey, do you want to suffer together?
That totally sounds like Barrow.
And then he retorted, after she said that, he said, well, isn't that what relationships are? Suffering with each other, right? And because in a way, yes, relationships will lend themselves to suffering. Okay, Leigh, you say obvious to both me and them. They've known about my feelings for them, and they were considered before she and her boyfriend did decide on being an actual pair, since they didn't want to hurt me. Okay. All right, interesting. So that's something to be mindful of.
It's also interesting because they knew before initiating and considered it before initiating the relationship. That is a...
And they're both your close friends. He's been your friend for 7 years. She's been your friend for 10 years. Okay. Interesting. So, well, I guess here's the chance to prove that friendship can win. Right? I would say I wouldn't see any problem with continuing to be their friend. I mean, everything's kind of on the up and up and whatever. I tell you one thing though, one thing that might happen as you traverse this road, if there's a if there ends up being some kind of a rift in their relationship, and you're around, then it's possible that he might put some of the responsibility on you, depending on the situation, right? So like if you're around and they're having some kind of a relationship difficulty, then jealousy might kind of kick in on his part, and you might start to see some kind of a lashing out in that from him in that direction, depending on the type of a struggle that they're having. But in all relationships will have struggles, right? So the real thing is, I can't remember, Lay, are you a religious person or not? Because some of that might be relevant as well. One of the things that I'm
pretty sure Lay's Polish.
Okay.
Sorry, wasn't that the question?
No, that was not the question at all.
that answer I gave answers your question.
That answers a lot.
Okay.
Oh my gosh.
Is Polish a religion? All Polish people are Catholic. Don't you know this?
What?
Just kidding.
I didn't think that.
Yeah, like every Polish person I've ever met is Catholic, but that doesn't mean all of them are.
Wavering Roman Catholic, I guess. Okay, so you're not unfamiliar with prayer. This is where prayer comes in, and also if you have Roman Catholic background as well, I can speak to that as well, because in the Roman Catholic faith there is value in suffering. There's redemptive value in suffering. And so, I mean, let's just be honest. You know, I mean, if I was to take this from a religious standpoint, Jesus said, take up your cross daily and follow me. This might be one of your crosses. Because, yeah, if you have romantic feelings for a person and they're in a relationship with someone else, and you still have these romantic feelings and you're still around them all the time, that's going to be a source of pain. Now, it'll be bittersweet because you're happy for them. When you have romantic feelings for someone, you love them, so you want what's best for them, right? And so you want them to be happy. And if they're happy, you're happy. But if they're happy and they're not with you, then it's not as happy as it could be, right? So you might get to spend some time, in tears, and that's okay. You might get to spend some time in heartache, and that's okay. But one of the things that I've had to pray before, when I've been in similar situations where I've had a close friend that I had romantic feelings for, but they were also either in a relationship or not looking for a relationship or whatever, right? And I knew that, and so I wasn't going to pursue a relationship with them. So I was just going to keep it all kind of suppressed, But one of the prayers that I had was, I would pray, God, please keep this love that I have for this person pure. Because pure love is like what Ryan always talks about. It's wanting the best for somebody. It's wanting the absolute best for them and their lives and their being. And sometimes the best thing for a person isn't me, romantically, right? But I can still love them. And I always have to pray that, in these situations, because romantic feelings can lead to kind of a possessive type of a feeling, like, and then jealousy can set in, and envy, and all kinds of things that are bad feelings can come in, and that's not real love anymore. That's that's more of a lust, because you want them for your own purposes. Maybe not lust in the classic sensual sense, but a lust is in just a desire to have them, or to keep them, or whatever, to possess them. And that's not pure love. So in romance, you kind of, even interestingly enough, even if you are in a relationship with a person, you probably ought to pray that prayer as well. You ought to pray that your love for your significant other is pure. Because, if it isn't, what good is it? If the love you have for another person is possessive and, objectifying and, grabby, I want this person, then what good does that do in the long run? It doesn't really do anybody any good. It doesn't do them any good, because now you're going to end up treating them like a thing rather than a person. And then it's not good for you, because you start to see a person as a thing and not a person. And having been on both sides of that, I've fallen and objectified people and treated them as objects. And I've also been objectified and treated as an object. And it does nothing for either of our dignity, no matter what. No matter who's the victim and who's the perpetrator, right? Neither person benefits from that. So, here you are in this situation. I don't find any problem with staying friends with them. But I would concentrate on keeping the love you have, the romantic feelings you have, pure. Okay, Lace has an update. She has been openly seeking to help me as a friend. She's been pushing me to call a therapist. She was in a Discord call with me to make sure I didn't hang up on the call like I did in the past. And yesterday we had a heartfelt conversation where I told her all my hopes and hurt feelings, with my conviction being set on being a friend for her first and foremost. So yeah, the current objective for me is to clear up my mind and achieve a clear friendship without any of the I wish I were a thing thinking. I wish we were a thing thinking. In detail cutting short version, I guess. Okay. Yeah. So, yep. I would enlist God's help. In my experience, achieving that, what you're describing, is bigger than what I can do on my own. I am weak. I am a weak human being. And it's easy for me to get carried away by my feelings. And it's easy for me to, start going down the path of, wanting a person rather than loving that person. And so for me, I need help with that. And so I guess here's the question then. No matter what happens, this is going to be painful. And I'm sorry. But if you decide that it's too much for you to be their friend, because it's just too much ongoing pain, then you may have to start to find other friends. And that is like a sharp pain, kind of all at once pain, right? Deep and sharp and it hurts. But then the pain of being around them, having these feelings and seeing the situation and being a friend to them could also bring its own pain. But it'll probably be lesser and more dull and just over a longer period of time. But pain is beautiful. And there is nobody better to talk about the beauty of pain than the person right above me in that box. And so I'm going to turn it over to him and hope that he was going to talk about pain a little bit and the beauty of it. So, Ryan, I'm handing it to you.
Thanks,
I
Joe.
didn't mean to set the ball on the tee
so
for
sweet.
you. Just,
Yeah.
But I think that's an important thing, and I know that you have such a good head on your shoulders when it comes to that topic. So,
well, thanks for saying that. I think that I don't know if I certainly don't have the best position on this, but I was happy to come to the realization or be granted the realization by the Holy Spirit about pain and suffering and how beautiful it is, and that it is something to be not squandered. Pain is a resource, if you will, and a lot of times people suffer without any use of it, needless suffering, when they could take that suffering and make something great of it. I'm just going to go ahead and read what did Lay just post this? It looks like, yeah. Yeah. Okay. He said, so yeah, the current objective for me. Oh yeah, you read that. This other part says, as much as I want to say this is too painful for me and I can't let go of my feelings, I do believe the true beauty of my feelings. Sorry, I do believe the true beauty of my feeling would have to be choosing to transcend it into a bit more, and I guess it could renew my connection with the fella in heaven a little bit. Yeah. I think that's wisely said. Absolutely. If you ever watch like a good movie or anything, a good story, read a good story, come up with a good story, there's always pain, and that pain is utilized not just so that it keeps our attention, but that it makes the journey worth something. Everything comes at a cost. Anything that's worth anything comes at a cost. And then there are those things that are granted us, which are infinitely valuable, and they came with no cost. And then what do you do about that? The only thing you can do is love the person who gave it to you. And loving is, again, a cost, though you can't repay it. You know what I'm saying? Like, the life you've been given, what can you do for your parents and God to show them that, you are thankful, but to love your life, right? If you can take your life and love it and be grateful that you're here, and I know that can be really hard for a lot of people, but to show yourself that you love it, and to show God, and to show your mother and father and etc. and your friends that you love you love your life, you love what you've been given, I think that that's a beautiful thing, right? But it doesn't come just by going, oh, feel goods. It's not just an emotion, right? It's through the art of going through trials. It's through the art of suffering and being happy to do so. A lot of times, I've said you can't be, I guess in a recent stream, I've said you can't be happy. You can't be satisfied with yourself. You cannot love yourself if you aren't willing to suffer for yourself, right? A lot of people live their lives trying to avoid pain, and then it's no wonder they don't like themselves. A lot of people don't want to talk to themselves because they know if they talk to themselves, it's going to be a painful experience. A lot of people go through their life just trying to avoid pain for themselves. They'll take on pain for other people, but they won't suffer pain for themselves. They won't get up and exercise. They won't, try to learn something new. It's too much work. But you're not too much work. Love yourself more and act that out. And you can only act that out by doing the things that you don't want to do for yourself, right? And that's how you do for people you love. So if you do that for yourself, that's a beautiful thing, right? That's what creates, everybody's telling us like, love yourself, love yourself, love yourself. And then how do you do that? And the whole world wants to tell you, you got to be you. You got to do the things that you like. That's what makes you love yourself. Do what you like. That's not true. That's not true at all. That's not love. You have a child, and the child just wants to eat candy all day, and he doesn't want to eat your meatloaf that you slaved over for them.
I wouldn't want to eat my meatloaf either.
Yeah, your meatloaf is awesome.
Yeah, you never had my meatloaf.
You threaten me with threaten me with your meatloaf, man. I'll eat it.
I've never made
right
a
now.
meatloaf.
You've never made meatloaf ever. I've made meatloaf. I made meatloaf when I was 12.
Wow.
No, I was 9. I made meatloaf. My first meatloaf. I think it was 9 years old, 8 or 9. My mom had me at phone point. She said, Ryan. She called me from her work, and she's like, Ryan, I'm not gonna be able to make it home from dinner. Can you start it for me? And I was like, yeah, okay. And she's like, all right. And she's walking me through it on the phone. It was great.
Wow.
But yeah, I made meatloaf when I was 9.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah, it was pretty cool. I felt like I didn't do anything.
I am so sorry for I know it's fairly easy. I just never made it before. But anyway, so you were talking about candy versus meatloaf. Continue. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Whatever it is, right? You have a healthy food, but your kid just wants to eat candy, right? And you can't just give in to your kid's desires. What's going to happen to them? They're going to end up spoiled. They're going to end up dead. Honestly, they're going to end up dead. Mm-hmm. If you don't love your child, that child dies. Period. If you don't act with love to your child, and that doesn't mean, I have such strong feelings for my child, all of this. Yes, most mothers do, most fathers do, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about you look at that child and say, that child's going to die if I don't do something. I'm going to do something for it. I'm going to feed it. That child's not going to grow up healthy if I just keep on giving it unhealthy food. It's going to get sick. I'm going to feed it well. I'm going to choose good food for it, right? I want him to have strong body. I want him to have a strong body when he grows up. We have to do that for ourselves, right? If you listen to the world and you just do what the world says love is, and you love yourself by doing that, you're going to have no respect for yourself. And if you love other people the way the world tells you to love, right? Giving them what they want, right? If the world tells you, hey, the best way to love yourself is to just do the things that you think you should do and enjoy, just do the things you think are going to be fun and enjoyable, if you do that for somebody else, both of those, whether you do it for yourself or do it for another person, it's going to be bad. The art of loving somebody is not just giving everything to them for free. It's not. And I think that's something that you could easily fall into. I know when I was in your position, that's the trap I fell into. I gave my all to the person, and I did everything they ever asked of me and more, right? I did everything the person asked of me and more, whether it was a good thing or a bad thing. I just said, I don't care if it's good or bad. They asked me to do it and I love them. I'm going to do it. That's not love. Mm-hmm. So don't fall into that trap, Master. Don't fall into that trap, like, because that's not going to be good for them. And it's not going to be good for you. And it's not how you should treat yourself or other people. It's not about making them happy, right? So if you want to be a good friend, be a good friend. Don't let your emotions cause you to be a bad friend. Because I'll tell you what, it's going to be really easy to do that. And chances are you've already done that. I only say that because I know myself and I've known a lot of people in that situation that you're going through, that they mistook this desire in their heart to be a good friend and instead spoiled the person and weren't a good friend at all. Mm-hmm. because they were infatuated with the person, right? Because they couldn't see through the haze. Master Le, you said, I think we had a quote in our Polish literature for that, something among the lines of, don't just adore, love. Interesting. Yeah. Love is an interesting thing. When we say in English, we have a lot of meanings. We have affection, we have attraction, mm-hmm. we have lust, we have adoration or adoring. We have all these different things that we experience. And they're all beautiful things. The only one that love is called that isn't beautiful is lust. Right? And Joe talked about that. You don't want to go there. Right? And you don't want to fall into the trap that I was talking about earlier. So I'm just kind of giving you that insight so that when you are, because your path is already made. You've already told the person that you want to be their friend and you're going to pursue that. I wouldn't go back on your word. I think that what you should do is continue as you had said, right? But I want to make sure you don't fall into that trap of not being able to see clearly. Because I know that I've been there. It's important to be able to be strong for them. And sometimes that means being hard on them, not that you have to very often, but being real and honest rather than letting your letting your heart get the best of you, I guess, if you will. But yeah, as far as the original thing that Joe brought up, suffering, as we've said on this show so many times before, in order to show love, you have to suffer. And that's part of what makes suffering so beautiful. If suffering didn't exist in this world, we wouldn't have love. We could never prove it. We could never show it. The most beautiful and divine thing, the closest you can ever be to becoming godlike is to suffer. And that's weird. But it's true. When Jesus dies on the cross, right? He suffers for us. And it's something that we would never want to do, right? But if you choose to do that out of the love of someone, it's the most beautiful thing and most godlike thing you could ever do. Because then you're acting exactly like God. And that's wonderful. But yeah, I think that you're gonna be fine. You're gonna be just fine, Lay. It's gonna be hard. But here's some helpful advice outside of what I already gave. What you want out of this, because you brought this topic up, what you want is to have a friendship and it not to be painful. But I'm going to tell you something that will ease your mind. All right? If you want to be free from pain, right? If you want to be free from pain, as in not afraid of it, it doesn't hold you back. Not, I don't receive pain anymore, because you can't do that. You're just going to have pain no matter what. whatever choices you make in life, it's always going to be there. There's always going to be something. And sometimes it's just emptiness. Sometimes it's there's too much busyness. There's always going to be something that pains you, no matter where you go in life. But you can be free from it if you're not afraid of it. Because then it doesn't control you. You just keep on walking. The crabs nip at your legs as you walk by, but it doesn't stop you from walking and running. You could have the crabs nip at your legs and you stop and you go, oh, I don't want that to happen anymore. And then they just keep on swarming you. Or you can just keep on walking through it. And how you do that is by loving yourself. And that's why I opened up with that. How do you love yourself? You accept pain. And you let it come for your benefit. And you turn it into something for your benefit, right? And you have faith in it. You believe in God, who is the King of love and the King of suffering. And you believe in him and you say, you know what? This pain, sure, come my way. And you prove to yourself and to others around you that you love yourself by being willing to have pain and suffering for yourself. Because you don't ever come to love yourself any other way than that. There's going to be, you can look up thousands of books. The secret is that nugget. Most books won't talk about that because they don't know. People have momentary most people have momentary feelings of freedom and a sense of love of self. And it doesn't last because it's like pleasure. It is much like pleasure versus happiness. Pleasure only exists during the act which creates it. But happiness is something that is like a reward. It exists beyond the act which creates it. It continues, but it comes at a cost. It's usually doing the things that you're going to be proud of doing, but it's not always fun to do them, right? And that's the truth for yourself too. If you want to be happy, if you want to love yourself, if you can be accepting of that pain and just have that mindset, it's going to be easier to get through this. And at some point you'll be free from pain, so much so that it doesn't rule you. And then you can see the light of your topic. You know what I'm saying? Like, the reason you bring this topic forward is because of that pain, right? Because it's going to stink to go through. And your mind was already made up before you posted it. You know what you're going to do because you want to do the right thing. You want to be a good friend. And you want to go through that pain. But it's scary. Lay, it's not scary. That pain is not scary. It's just life. And it's beautiful. It's not easy. There's no reason to be afraid of it. In fact, there is great reason to be anticipating it and to rejoice for it. Because that pain that you feel being a friend when you know you want even more and you can't have it, that pain, that is your love. Is it not? You're willing to suffer that and be their friend? You're willing to suffer it and be by their side every day that you are? You're already a fine example of what love is. Mm-hmm. Love isn't easy, but it is beautiful. We were made for it, and we were made from it. So don't be afraid of that. That's your reward. And I know that it doesn't feel good, but it's good. And it will, whether the pain gets harder or softer on you, it will reward you. Either way. And so just know that you don't have anything to be afraid of. It's okay. It's pain, yeah. But it's all right. It's a good thing. Anyways, that's what I got. I hope that's helpful. I'm gonna go lean back over to Joe's side and see what he's got to add on to that. He's dodging.
I was leaning with you.
I guess it's back to me.
No, I was leaning.
Oh,
with
you're
you.
leaning.
Yeah.
Oh. Okay. Got it.
Lay, you've got a few updates in here. After all has been said and done, I guess my view did change. I want to grow and develop in the experience, and I want to take it head on as long as I can. My hat's off to you. But no victimizing myself, no pretending I'm a martyr. What I do is a path I choose, and I think I'm ready for what comes next now. Whispers. Also, no shaking my pants for the what ifs and maybes. I don't like these two concepts in this topic. I'll tell you what. Ryan says, don't be afraid. Because really, that's the ideal. We shouldn't have to be afraid. But if you do find yourself being afraid, that's okay. You're a Catholic. You can find solidarity with Jesus in that fear. You remember right before he was betrayed and, then, taken into custody and, taken to trial and all that kind of stuff, he prayed in the Garden of Gethsemane. Gethsemane. Yes, that one.
Yeah, you got it.
Yeah.
Gethsemane.
Gethsemane. Yes, the TH comes before the S. I think. But anyway.
Yeah, Gethsemane.
But he was afraid. So much so that he sweat blood while he was praying. And that's an actual physical condition under extreme amounts of stress that can happen. Our capillaries can feel our blood pressure can get so high there that they burst, and we actually have blood coming out our pores. And he was under so much stress and fear of what was to come, because he knew what was coming. And that was a fearful experience. And he kept asking. Remember, the prayer was, if there's any way, let this cup pass from me, meaning let me not have to go through this, but your will be done. And finally submitted to, what he had to go through. So if you find yourself in fear, it's okay. It's okay to be afraid. When Ryan says don't be afraid, he's not telling you like it's not okay if you're afraid. What he's saying by saying don't be afraid, he's saying you're going to be all right. It's going to be okay. Right? Life is going to go on. You're going to be able to go through this. And yeah, it's just pain. You'll go through it. The time will pass. You'll come out on the other side. But yeah, no. I just figured I ought to mention that I saw your post there, and I was listening to what Ryan was saying. I wanted to make sure I said it's okay to feel fear. It's okay.
Yeah.
To be looking down the throat of something and just be freaked out of your mind.
But don't let it stop you.
Yes.
That's basically what I meant.
Exactly. Don't let it stop you. Because it's okay. And yes, it might stink. Lots of things in life stink. I've been through stuff. Ryan's been through stuff. You've been through stuff. Everybody in the chat's probably been through stuff, I'm sure. Princess been through stuff. We've all been through stuff that just stinks. And we're going to go through more of it. It's okay.
Can't wait.
I know, right?
Great.
I can't wait. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, I say all that, but I was like, great.
I know. Yep.
It'll come.
Yep. But yeah, I love what Ryan just said. Don't let it stop you. It's okay to feel fear. It's okay to feel that pain. It's okay to have to retreat once in a while and maybe just, maybe you do like what I do. When I get under so much, I cry. I'm a little crybaby sometimes. Like, I just have to go and lay down and cry. When it just gets overwhelming. And I don't know, you guys can make fun of me if you want, I don't care. But that's just part of me, I guess, But that's part of how I let these emotions out. And it's so funny because so I'll tear up in movies even, right? So that when we would go to movie theaters, I'd be sitting next to my sons and like some kind of touching thing would happen in the movie and like my eyes would start to get all like shiny, you know? And I'd be like blinking extra bunch, try to like blink them out,
Yeah, that doesn't work, does it?
Not really. But
Yeah.
yeah. That was the most tired "It will be awesome" I've heard today. It'll be awesome.
That's great.
Yep. But at any rate, you're going to be okay. You're going to go through pain. And don't forget to go along with this whole religious tack that we've been on a little bit here and there. Don't forget that painful experience that Christ went through is what redeemed the whole world. So in many ways, not only do we show our love by being willing to go through pain, but we can also redeem things by going through pain.
Yes.
We can bring great blessings to the world by going through pain. And so look into, in the Catholic faith, you can look into offering your pain up. We can offer our pain as a sacrifice for the redemption of other people we know, other people we love, for things that, we want to have happen, all kinds of stuff. It kind of just, it adds a little bit of extra weight to our prayers, to attach our suffering to it, and then to also attach that suffering and that sacrifice to the sacrifice of Christ. And, in that way we become co-laborers with Christ in his redeeming act. We can do our part by experiencing that pain and offering that pain as a sacrifice as well. So that's all the theology that I can muster right now. And yeah, that's pretty much all I got to say, except Lay, you're awesome. DM me anytime on Discord. If you want to, my DM's
me
open
too.
and I'm on there every day. So feel free to DM me. And, if you want to lay some of this stuff out, I would love to hear more about the story. I'd love to, help in any way I possibly can. So, anyway, you're awesome. And back to you, Ryan.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, Master Lay, I'm super proud of you. Thanks for going through this. Honestly, I know that's weird, but I really mean it. Very heartfelt. Thanks for going through this. I know that it's not easy. I know that it's hard. It's very hard, and I'm proud of you for doing that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that you've already shown yourself to be a good friend, and you will continue to do so. So, yeah, I'm proud of you. That's all. Yeah. So, thanks, Lay.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks for the topic, and we really appreciate that, for you sharing your heart with us and sharing your situation with us and allowing us to talk on it. So yeah, I guess on to the next one. Meow is here, right? Yeah, Meow's here. I'm gonna run through this list just in case there's anyone that came up before, but I know that we have Meow at least. So we've got Ian Lam. By the way, if you are here, just put something in the chat and we'll get to it. And we'll see you so that we know we can do your topic. We've got Ian Lam, Ezekiel Games, Dracon, Lord Francium, LG, Toast, Ash, Immature Success, Joby, and Meow. I see Meow.
I see Meow. And we should do that topic
Meow?
right Meow.
All right, let's do a Meow.
That
You
was horrible.
cat to be kidding me.
No.
Oh my. We're going
That would be
We're
egregious.
going down the pun route. Joe B would be so proud.
Joe would be very happy.
He would.
He would be
All right, yeah,
very
we're
happy.
gonna do Meowtellos. Bees are not forms of feline, but I'll give it to you.
Yes, these are all cat puns.
Perfect.
Perfect. Yes.
Perfect. I believe you mean to say bzzz-fict. Oh wait, that doesn't. Do cats buzz like bees? Oh no, bees aren't cats.
I don't know where you're getting this cat and bee thing from.
What? Oh, didn't you make a bee pun?
I did. How is that related to cats? It's related to
Well, we were doing
puns.
cat puns, and you switched over to bees.
We were
so-
doing puns. Most of them were cats, but you can switch to
Oh, we're just
different
doing
puns.
any pun? I didn't know. Okay. My
Not
bad.
the puns that
I
would
mean,
be
my bad.
cataclysmic. Thanks, Justin.
Anyway.
Yes.
All right. Well, this is from Meow. It's titled Fresh Start. And Princess will do the honors of reading it for us.
Fresh start. Recently, my attitude, productivity, positivity, and other stuff like that. I believe they meant to say has improved. Not quite sure, sorry, on the grammar there. I've been more talkative, open, happy, and stuff. This is also the first week of band camp. With this fresh start, I've been feeling good about myself, or at times when I don't, I work through it. I've been more accepting of my mistakes and regrets. I'm slightly afraid that this new me will wear off and I'll end up going back to how I was before, with all the struggles that go with it. I still have a ways to grow, but I'm making progress and I feel hopeful now. Namely, I could use a lot of improvement when it comes to confidence and courage. When I start to waver, music is something that will keep me on track. There's a Squid Sisters song called Fresh Start that I've been listening to and inspired by lately, which is what the title of this topic comes from. How do I fully come to terms with and feel at peace with myself, with all of my mistakes and stuff? And how do I master myself and live with above my anxieties and regrets and stuff like that? I hope I explained this well. Thanks, Meow.
Mm,
Yeah, thank you, Meow. I think this is a great topic.
I would agree.
And I really thank you for sharing it with us. It's awesome to hear you're doing great. Your attitude, your productivity, your positivity, and other stuff like that, taken from Meow Lido's exact script, has been on point. It's great to hear that. I'm really proud of you, Meow. And you know, you've even like inspired your teacher to come to one of these. And so
Mhm.
I just think that you're awesome, Meow. Way to go. I'm super proud of you. But yeah, this is, I think I talked a little bit about this, one aspect of it, just recently, literally the last topic. It was connected in a very different way. But yeah, about loving yourself. I think a lot of times we lack confidence, right? Because we're afraid of pain. But the thing is, that's interesting about that, you can't have courage without fear. Courage isn't doing something because you're not afraid. Courage is doing something when you are afraid,
Mhm.
because you're afraid, right? And so confidence and courage, as often as they go together, they are very different. Confidence doesn't require fear, but courage does. Confidence comes from, I guess, a strong belief and faith in the future. Confidence comes from hope. Courage comes from hope too. So, and strong faith in strong faith in the future as well. I think both of those are very dependent upon hope. Even though they're not the same, I think they're both dependent upon hope. And I think that's a good place to contemplate. If you want to get better at confidence and courage, consider thinking about hope and getting better at hoping. And if you don't know much about hope, you have a lot of material open to you. I believe if you're into Christianity, you can find hope in the Bible. Paul talks about it. Wait, Paul? Is it Paul? I think it's Paul.
He's one of them.
Anyways, yeah, multiple people talk about hope. But other than that, you can look up the definition and you can do research on it. But with that, as a side, I'm going to give it over to Joe and see what he's got for this topic.
Meow says in the chat, courage and confidence aren't the only things, just two specific ones. And yep, you're absolutely right. But I love the distinction you made between the two, Ryan. That's really cool because, yes, confidence doesn't require fear. Courage does.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, it's a requirement. And when you said that, I was thinking of the movie. I forget the name of the movie, but, you know, the sergeant goes, "It's all right to be scared. There is no courage without fear." And I'm like, yep, that's very true.
That sounds like an old movie.
No, it wasn't actually. Well, maybe okay. Actually, you know what? I've just recently had expressed to me how, you know, how I'm old.
Old is now. Hey, look, people like the most common post on It's Not Like You is like, wow, this song is old. Over the last year, people have been calling that song old. You know how old it is? It's Not Like I Like You.
Oh yeah, that's an old song.
Yeah, people are like, wow, this song is old. Wow, this song is old. I can't believe this song's been out that long. Wow, this is so old.
Yeah.
I'm like,
wow, it's old.
Guys, everything you listen to is older than this. Like, everything you listen to. Everything. You know what came out for that? Like, all the stuff you listen to. It's not that old, guys.
Oh, man.
Fine, whatever.
Meow says, another thing that I didn't think of is processing emotions, though that could be its own topic. It could. You're right. But processing emotions. So, but I want to zero in on your question here, where you said, how do I fully come to terms with and feel at peace with myself and my mistakes? How do I master myself and live above my anxieties and regrets? Now, self-mastery, that requires your entire life. That is not something that you will ever reach the pinnacle of while you're alive. That is something that you improve upon and improve upon and improve upon, and there's always another rung to go up that ladder. It's why there are no living 10th degree black belts in the Taekwondo martial art. They're all awarded posthumously. So, the highest you go while you're alive is 9. And then, after you die, you might, if you know, depending on whatever determinations they make, you might get awarded your 10th degree black belt. But, at any rate, you know, it's interesting because yeah, self-mastery, that's just one thing that you will be able to work on and work on and work on and work on forever. And it's not something to get stressed about. It's not something to get all feeling pressured about. It's just something to find an area of your life and get better at on a daily basis. You know, take some time to reflect. You know, that's one of the things that, you know, how do you feel at peace with yourself and your mistakes? How to feel at peace with your mistakes is repent. And I'm not saying like all your mistakes are sinful, evil things. Sometimes they're just mistakes. But we can look at them and we go, oh man, I'm sorry I did that. I'll do better next time. Right? I learned from it and I'll make it better next time. And that's a small act of repentance that then helps us heal from the wound of the mistake. Right? Now, when we deliberately do something that's wrong, then we start going beyond mistake. I mean, it could be a mistake, but we did it on purpose and we knew it was going to be a mistake and we did it anyway. Right? In those moments, repentance is even more critical in order to feel peace. Because then we need to be like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry that I did that. I will avoid this. I will not do that. And sometimes it's funny because I still will make the same mistakes over and over and over again sometimes. It happens. You know, sometimes it takes a while. Sometimes it's a habitual mistake. Or sometimes it's, an addiction that's compelling me to make this mistake or whatever. And so sometimes it takes a while to work through and, get onto the other side of that, right? So then, okay, so if it's just a mistake that you do and you're looking at it and it's like, oh my gosh, I made this mistake, you can repent. You can be like, oh my gosh, man, I hate that I did that. I'm going to try and not do that again in the future. And then the other side of that coin is to be able to learn how to forgive yourself. Because that's the other part of that healing process, right? How to feel at peace with yourself when you have those mistakes, when you do those things that are wrong. We feel genuine sorrow for them in our heart. And then we can, sometimes that makes it easier to forgive ourselves. But repentance and forgiveness, that is the pathway to healing from a wrong, whether it's intentional or unintentional. Now, I know people who make mistakes and hurt people and maybe even do it on purpose. And their attitude is, hey, I am who I am. I do what I do. If they don't like it, that's their fault. Inside, that person is probably a wreck and not at peace very much at all. Because seriously, that's not the path to self-mastery. To just be like, I am who I am. I do what I do. That's it. You don't like it? That's your fault. Really? So you think that you can't improve at all? There's nothing in your life you can get better at. You're just perfect. Right? No. Because nobody's perfect.
That's who I am. I said what I said.
That's what I said. That's what I do.
Because that's what I do. I do perfect.
I do perfect. Exactly.
You don't like it? You're imperfect.
Your fault. Right. Exactly. But so, I mean, and there's a little bit of joking that, but I do seriously know people that have that attitude, right? And it's like, and I feel bad for them. Because I would imagine they would suffer from anxiety. because they're not at peace. When we do something wrong, our conscience knows it's wrong, no matter how much we can try to convince ourselves of otherwise. Now, there are times when we can have a seared conscience, that's a little bit beyond the scope. We don't need to necessarily dive into all that. But when we do wrongs enough times and we just kind of get numb to them, eventually our conscience can kind of get seared a little bit. And so then it doesn't pick up on things as much. But for the most part, I mean, it sounds to me, Meow,
Shut it down over and over.
Yeah, exactly. You have a really good, you have an eye on this, which is really, really cool. So I would say yes, to be at peace with yourself, repentance, forgiveness. Think of that. Okay, when I do something wrong, I'm going to say I'm sorry. Even if it's just to myself, I'm going to say I'm sorry and I'm going to forgive myself. Those are things you can do. And even you might take a time at the end of the day and kind of reflect on how your day went and think, okay, yeah, that was a moment. Was I at my best? When was I at my best today? And then when was I not at my best today? And how can I learn from this? All right? You can ask these simple questions. And you can kind of get an idea and be like, oh, yeah, okay. So what led me to that thing that was wrong? Okay. And then you answer that question. Then how can I avoid it in the future? How can I avoid the thing that led to me doing that thing wrong? And so now you're getting into the precursors of the mistake or the thing that you did that was wrong. I remember one of the things I love, I generally go to confession with the same priest because he digs into this. He knows me now, right? Because I don't sit behind the curtain thing. I'm face to face with him, And so he knows me. He knows some of my history. He knows, some of the stuff I'm dealing with. I've also met with him outside of the confessional, so he knows kind of like a whole bunch of my life story that's all weird and crazy. And he goes, so he'll ask the questions. He doesn't always, if I'm just confessing like little venial stuff, it's most of the time he'll just absolve me and be good. But sometimes when it's something that might be kind of habitual or something that's kind of serious, he'll be like, so what led you to that? And then I'll have to answer, well, sometimes I have to think about it and I'll be like, well, I started by doing this and then that moved me over here and then I ended up there. And he's like, okay, so take it back a few steps and avoid that thing and see how you do. And that's really helpful. And you can do that. You don't have to go to a priest to get that kind of counsel. You can counsel yourself by reflecting and just asking these questions, right? So that way you can avoid these mistakes. And you can also, even in the midst of your mistakes, because you're doing this process, you will feel better about yourself because you are making an effort and you're actively thinking, okay, I'm going to be a better person as a result of this. I'm going to be a better version of me. And that's going to be great. And then living above anxieties and regrets, that can be tough. But I think it plays into this same thing a little bit as well. Regrets are tough. I have a lot of them. But there, with regrets, at some point, you just got to look at them and just be like, you know what? There is nothing I can do to change it. Or you can ask yourself, is there something that I can do to make this better or to kind of redeem this regret or, fix it or achieve whatever it was or whatever, is there something I can do? And if not, that falls outside of your circle of influence. And so we should try to not be concerned about it. That doesn't mean it always works, because sometimes we do get concerned about things that we have absolutely no control over. I do. You know, I do all the time. Especially when I have no control over it, but it's going to directly affect me. Like, that can be kind of hard.
Yeah, that one's a tough one, huh?
It is, but still. At any rate, hopefully some of that was helpful. I'm going to turn it over to Ryan because I can just tell he's got something good. It's going to come out of his brain.
Yeah,
and out of his soup cooler.
Yeah,
it's going to be great.
It's never out of my brain. Out of my mouth, but not out of my brain. I'll tell you that.
All right. Well, it might have come through your brain.
Holy Spirit.
It comes through the top.
Yeah, maybe.
Down through.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, well, I think it usually comes up from down there, and it permeates. It's like a waft of air that comes off of you.
Everywhere. So your brain is part of it.
Yeah, I'm absorbing that which is below me, and you are part of it.
And your brain is moving your mouth. And not right now, it's not.
Yeah, you know what, Joe? I'm super proud of you, and I'm gonna give that one to you. That's absolutely true. That's a sound argument. Thank you. Anyways, fantastic. It's just so laughable to me because that's literally an argument I would use for no good, just for fun.
I pulled a Ryan on Ryan.
You did. Yeah. You pulled a Ryan on Ryan. I have to give it to you. That's why I was just like, that's it. I would have said that too. That's perfect. All right. Anyways, where are we? We're at Meows topic, and I think Joe did a good job talking about self-mastery. It is something that you go and experience throughout your life, and you will find yourself failing upwards, basically. That's kind of how you do it. And I really liked Joe's example where he was talking about going to a priest and the priest saying, well, what did you do before that led to it? You know, and maybe rethink the way you do that, or stop doing that, or do something different than that instead. And I think that's a really smart move, but that's, again, just another part of self-mastery. It's about understanding who you are, understanding you're not perfect, understanding you're a human being, which means that you weren't created perfect. Your brain can't do what God does. Your brain can't do a crazy amount of amazing things. It's just one brain. And at some point, as you go, you forget things. At some point, as you go, you lose memories, lose your sentence, lose yourself in your own sentence, like I just did. And that's normal. That's okay. So you can't have like complete self-mastery, right? It's not possible. But to what you were trying to get at, and yeah, absolutely, you can continue to get better at being the best version of yourself. That's ultimately what you're wanting, right? It basically just trying to be the best you can be at all moments. And that's hard. It's very hard. So if you want that, you're going to have to be able to forgive yourself a lot. And I think that is something that you train. It's like a talent almost. So I think also another thing with forgiveness is this. How do I get, okay. Forgiveness is an interesting thing, right? When you want to forgive yourself, it's an interesting thing. And Joe's talked about this many times, and you've been here for a lot of the times, Meow, that we've talked about forgiving others and forgiving yourself, so that you can deal better with regrets and pardoning yourself when you just don't make the cut for yourself. You held the bar too high on yourself, or you held it at a fair level, but you still didn't make it, or you did things that you weren't supposed to do, or yeah, etc. Um, here's something interesting about forgiveness. Having um having faith in yourself makes forgiveness a lot easier, right? If you have faith in other people, right? Let's say you have a good friend and they do something, but you've been their friend for a long time. You've been through stuff before, you know, but you're good friends. You have easy, good faith, knowing that your forgiveness will be good for them, right? Because you look at someone and you say, okay, if I forgive them, are they going to just turn around and betray me again? Or if I forgive them, will it make our relationship better and they won't, break my trust? Or they'll try not to. They might again, but they'll try not to, right? I mean, that's really what it is in any kind of relationship, right? And having a good relationship with yourself should have you respond the same way. You look at yourself and you say, well, I have faith in myself that if I forgive myself, I'll still be oriented towards good and not evil, right? I have faith that if I forgive myself, that I have faith that I will betray myself again. But I also have faith that I will still be oriented towards what is good. What is good for me, what is good for others, what is good for the world around me, towards goodness, right? Forgiveness, I think it's a lot easier if you can believe that, if you can know that truth, right? So if you're worried about your regrets and you're worried about forgiving yourself, just think about that, right? Think about, if I forgive myself, am I going to suddenly turn evil? No. If I forgive myself, am I going to do the same thing again? Probably. Maybe not. Maybe it's a one-time thing. Maybe it's not. But if I forgive myself, am I going to be more oriented towards good than if I don't forgive myself? The answer to that question, you don't even have to have faith to know. Because the truth is, 100% of the time, if you forgive, it creates a better relationship for you to move forward towards what is good. And if you don't forgive yourself, that will eat at you and make you feel worse and perform worse and be worse and be more and more and more inclined towards evil. It's just true. There are people who cannot forgive themselves. Joe was talking about this a little bit. Seared conscience. That happens not when people forgive themselves, but when they try to justify their wrongs by basically saying, oh, those aren't wrong. Those aren't wrong. No, those aren't wrong. No, I've told myself 4 million times it's not wrong. It still feels wrong. All right, let's try 5 million. All right, that's not wrong. Okay, I fully believe. I'm fully committed to now. That act was never wrong in the first place. Society is just wrong.
That's right.
And
it's
I'm
not
right.
wrong.
And that act is just fine to do.
It's not wrong because that's just who I am.
Right. That's right. So that's a seared conscience, right? And in that case, those people never forgive themselves, do they? They don't. They never forgive themselves. They just claim that what they did wasn't wrong in the first place. Because they find it so hard to forgive themselves that they choose evil over forgiveness. So what I'm telling you is, if you're worried about forgiving yourselves, think about that. 100% of the time, forgiveness will lead you down the path of that which is good, that which is holy, that which is creative, that which is moral, that which is helpful to society, to you and everyone, and the earth, and everything like that. But if you choose not to forgive, eventually you will be at such a war with yourself, you will start to sacrifice things that are good, including morals and conscience. And once those go out the window, it's very hard to turn back and forgive yourself. Now, there are people who have come out of that, out of seared consciousness. And you know what they do to get out of it? They forgive themselves. They admit finally that what they were doing is wrong and they knew the whole time, and they forgive themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Or they admit, for a time I didn't know, but now that I know again that it was wrong, they have to forgive themselves before they can move forward beyond that pain in their life, right? So, yeah, absolutely. If you're worried about forgiving yourself, think about that. Have faith in that your life, in your mastery of self and your enjoyment of self, right? Because you enjoy your person. I think that's a beautiful thing. You enjoy the life around you. That continues if you keep a healthy relationship with yourself. Now, it's not always sunshine and roses if you keep a healthy relationship with yourself. It's, life has its ups and downs naturally, right?
Yes.
But it's a lot better if you have a good relationship with yourself than if you don't, right? It stinks. It stinks whether it's sunshine and roses or doom and gloom if you don't like yourself. But if you do like yourself, it's not so bad in either of those. So, anyways, that's what I got on that side of the topic. And on the other side, with confidence and courage, there's a couple of things that bring me confidence and courage. I think what brings me confidence is very different than what brings me courage. I'll tell you this. What brings me courage a lot of times is other people. Other people oftentimes bring me courage. It's by their example a lot of times that I find courage in myself. For example, I remember driving around in the mountains, in the snow and ice, doing inspections.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember going up a hill. I started going down, and I was in the mountains, ledge on my right, straight up and straight down, cliff on either side, basically. But there's a wall on my left and a straight down path to death on my right. And this was not only one time that I faced this predicament, it happened many times. And every time I went through that scenario, I just thought of my brother. I was like, Kyle would do it. He's like not afraid of anything. I'll do it. And then I scaled the mountain in my car, and I'm not even kidding you. Thanks be to God and all his holy powers. Oh my gosh, my car, two-wheel drive, not made for snow and ice. The tires were not winter tires. Going up this hill, if you don't understand what I'm talking about, that's fine. Going up this snowy hill, cliff to my right, wall to my left, one track. And I get about 2 seconds going up before my car starts. The wheels are rotating and the car is going less than 1 mile an hour. But I'm like, hey, it's going.
You weren't going backwards?
No, I wasn't going backwards. I was slowly going forward.
Because I've had that happen before too, where you're
and I
going
thought,
just...
yes, yeah. I go, if I go backwards right now, I just rounded a corner. If I go backwards, there's no stopping that, and I am dead.
You're going off cliff.
And so I just kept on going. No fear. I just was like, all right, let's hold the gas pedal right where it's at. Let's not move it. Like, I'm scared for my life, but at the same time, it's like, I'm calm and afraid for my life. I know that if I hold the pedal where it's at, I'll probably retain my speed, even though my tires are slipping and going nowhere, it feels. And so I can do nothing but have faith and hope. And slowly I climb. And it took about like what felt like a year. No, it took probably like 30 seconds of just slowly moving until I got to the top of this mountain and hit flat ground. And I was like, okay, that's over. I gotta find a different way down. I gotta find a different way down. There is no way I'm going down that way. There's just no way. No.
Wow.
Yeah, and so and my house was right at the top of that hill. I took my pictures and I found a new way down, and that took a really long time. But that happened more than once, different ways. But my courage in those cases oftentimes came from the example other people set before me, and thinking to myself that, like, yeah, someone like they would do it, so I can do it too, right? So that's part of that courage. Comes from confidence, but it's also courage comes from wanting to do the right thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to get the job done. I didn't want to come home empty-handed. I didn't want to come home and be like, hey, I could have done it, but I was scared. So there you go. I don't have anything for you. And I don't want to be that guy. I want to be the guy that says, I could have done it and I was scared. So I did it. Now, after a couple of those times, I told my brother about him, and he's like, dude, you're nuts. I would have never done that. I'm like, oh, okay. He's like, don't ever do that. Ryan, don't do that. You just you just seriously, from now on, step one foot out of the car, take a picture of your boot in the ground and say, there's too much snow. Can't move forward. Car's slipping. And then we'll send that picture in. I was like, oh, okay. That's a lot easier. That saves a lot of time too. That saves me hours. But yeah, like that's courage isn't always exactly like that, but courage a lot of times is, again, wanting to do the right thing. But why do you want to do the right thing? It's because of hope, right? You do the right thing because it grants you the right results in life. Doing good things creates good things in the world, right? And that's good, right? Doing good things, creating good things in the world is good. Therefore, we should do it, right? Courage is having hope in that, right? It's knowing that even though you're afraid, it's important to do the right thing, right? Or even sometimes it's not even necessarily the right thing, but it's still good. For example, it could be you're afraid of standing out in class or among your class. You're afraid to stand out in front of your peers. And so it takes courage to push yourself forward, to show and put yourself out there in front of everybody, right? That's courage. It's not necessarily the right thing to do, but it is, because it's self-improvement, right? But it's not like a question of morals. It's not a question of getting the job done. It's just a question of, can you do it? And if you do it, you'll be better for it. Well, for me, a lot of times, my go-to is to counter whatever holds me back. I do this a lot in prayer, or a lot in just different things in my life. Something will be like, an example, someone either calls me or messages me on my phone or on Discord or whatever, and my first thought that comes to my head is, oh, I don't want to talk to them.
Yeah, that's what I
Not
call
because them. Yeah, no, never when you don't. It's not because of them. It's not because of I don't want to talk to that person. It's just I don't want to talk to anybody right now. I'm busy, or I'm literally not busy. I'm doing nothing, but this is my nothing time. I need my nothing time. You know?
I know. It's so true though.
Like, right? Yeah, you
Yes.
get it. So, my point is, I get that feeling of like, I don't want to do that. Then this thought comes into my head and it says, can you counter that? Show you can do it. Watch, you don't want to do that? Do it. And I do it. Like, I don't want to do that. And that thought, I don't like that thought because I know it's wrong. If I don't want to talk to someone, that means I am missing out on my chance to share that person's moment, to be with them, to experience them, to share a moment. Maybe God was calling me to be with that person at that time. Maybe God had something to say through me. Maybe they had something that they needed to share with me. Right? And so immediately, those are the thoughts that come through my head, right? Like someone's trying to talk to me. So I have this instinct to counter that which stifles out the presence of God in my life. Does that make sense? Stifles out what is good. If anything comes to mind that looks like it can prevent, and it's I don't want to do that, I'm afraid, or I just don't feel like it. I have this habit, which I've created over many years, to turn that off and just say, you know what? I don't want to do it, therefore I will. Watch me. And that's how I get through like a lot of my life. And it's great. So I would recommend starting to create that habit in yourself. Be mindful of where you're being called to give. And know that it's a lot of times in those moments that requires you to be against your desires, against what you want, your first inkling of, oh, I don't want to talk to them, or I really want to talk to them, or whatever it is. And you have a thought in your head that says, no, that's not right. Then courage comes in. And take courage up. The more you take courage up, the easier courage comes. And it's just like that. And that's on courage. I know we're getting closer to the end. I'm going to get back over to Joe. One thing I want to see if he wants to talk about confidence for us. And another thing, if he has anything else he wants to share. So yeah, back over to you, Joe.
Confidence, huh? You want me to talk about confidence because I struggle with it?
Do you want me to talk about confidence?
I don't mind.
All right. I have confidence Joe's going to handle this well. Go ahead, Joe.
Thank you.
How's that?
Yeah, that's great.
You're welcome. I love you.
Well, I love you too. Confidence is great. The end.
It's great, guys. That's it. Why don't you try it? Order now. 3 payments of $10.99.
Oh man. Well, confidence comes from doing, I find for me, right? I gain more confidence when I do like what Ryan was talking about. When I do the things that I might be uncomfortable doing, but I do them anyway, despite the discomfort, right? That's how we can grow in confidence. And confidence is just like, okay, a feeling like I can handle this. Right? Now, it's interesting because I'm talking about this at a time when I'm getting hit with a lot of crazy stuff. You know, there's a lot of stuff going on in the background of Joe Anderson right now. And
yeah, there is. That's pretty nuts.
And so confidence is a little hard to come by once in a while, right? And so But I love what Ryan was talking about, because he gained confidence, for instance, by watching his brother, by watching somebody who was an example, right? But there are going to be times when you are the example. And you might not have an example to look to. You might be facing a situation that nobody you know has ever faced anything like it before. And it might be really scary. So how do you build confidence when that's happening? If, because like what Ryan, it's a great place to gain confidence by looking to someone as an example. And Ryan's brother Kyle is always a great example to look to, because he's so good at doing things right. Right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's very good. Like, he takes the time to figure it out and make sure it's done right. So it's really cool. And he's really smart too. But sometimes you're going to be the first one. And how do you gain confidence then? And it's that question that Ryan asked. What is right in this situation? Not what's going to make me feel good. That's always generally the first question. How can I feel good about this? Or how can I escape the pain? Or how can I
run away?
Yeah, exactly. How can I avoid this? But the real question to ask yourself is, what is the right thing here? What's the right thing to do? And sometimes the right thing is to take a step back and make an assessment. Sometimes the right thing to do is to forge ahead and do the best you can. Because sometimes doing something is better than doing nothing. But then there are other times when if you just willy-nilly go do something, you could be damaging. Right? So there are times when you got to ask yourself the question, what is right here? And the other question to ask is, what's the human impact? Because always, 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 in every situation, in every choice that we're going to make, the most important impact you're going to have is the impact it will have on the people that surround it. You and the other people around you. That's the most important thing to consider. Things in this world come and go, whatever, and the question isn't what's going to make them feel the best. The question is what's going to be the best for them? What's going to be the most loving option? Because sometimes the best thing for us doesn't feel good. Right? Sometimes to learn a lesson needs to hurt a little bit. I'm sorry, sometimes it does. But at the same time, that's the real question to ask. Okay, how is this going to impact the people connected to this? And then with that considered, what's the right thing to do here? And you can go a long way asking those questions. It doesn't mean you're not going to make mistakes. You might be totally wrong in your assessment. I've been wrong in my assessment before, many times. And it's okay. That's part of how we learn. But then at the same time, if I hadn't done anything, I might not have learned You know, I did the best I could with the knowledge I had, with the information I had, and sometimes that's the best we can do. And, you know, even then, angels could do no better. We can only do the best we can with the knowledge we have. And so I would encourage you, confidence in this case, you can build confidence by looking to example. But you can also build confidence by having the courage to step into those situations where you don't really know what the right answer is, but you make a decision based on what you see and how it's going to impact the people around, and you try. And that's scary. But when you act in that environment, that's one of those things that's going to build your confidence even more and even more and more, even if it's wrong. Because then if it's wrong, you can come back and you can say, you know what? That was wrong. That was the wrong thing to do. I'm going to go and try and make it right. It gives you a chance to redeem the situation. It gives you a chance to ask forgiveness, maybe, of the people that, you know, got hurt by that situation. It gives you a chance. All of those are growing experiences, even though they're sometimes painful. But growing is usually painful, right? I exercise. It's painful. But my muscles grow. That's kind of cool, right? And that's painful too. So the exercise itself is painful and afterward is painful. Why do you do this? I don't know. Good question.
Of pain.
Yeah, pain, man. It's awesome. But anyway, I would encourage you to do that.
Well, I bought the pain medication. I don't know what to do with it, so.
Take it.
No, I mean, I have no reason to take pain medication if I'm not in pain. So I have to get in pain so that I can use my pain medication that I bought.
Mm-hmm. You know what, Pear, that's an interesting thing. Pear says, so playing chess is a huge confidence boost, at least for me, when I practice and develop that skill. Yeah, that can be another thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, one of the things we talked about last week, I think, about how I make paper flowers. You know, I'm a paper florist. Ryan called me a paper florist once. Said I was a good paper florist.
I like it.
You did.
Nice.
I'll never forget that day.
I don't remember, but I believe
It was
you.
beautiful.
That's awesome.
Because I'd worked really hard to learn
You're
that.
Beautiful.
Thank you. So are you.
Thanks. Your flowers are beautiful too.
It's a fun thing to do, and it is, you know, to get better at a skill and to do something, even if it doesn't seem like it's important, it can build our confidence. So that's another way you can do it too. But I've talked for a while. We're kind of past our time, but I know Pear's got a topic too. I don't think it wouldn't take very long. But anyway, Ryan, back to you. You're the host anyway. You pick.
Yeah. I just wanted to say, you know, one last thing about confidence is, understand that I think for me, a lot of confidence comes from having faith in myself, trust in myself that I'm still me, regardless of whatever happens. And as long as I'm still me, I can make good of it. I can continue to grow. I can continue to keep on moving forward. Or if I'm dead, then fantastic. It doesn't really matter. And I think that's where a lot of my confidence comes from. So maybe I'm a little carefree, but confidence just like any situation I get myself into, I'll get through it. I just have faith that that's the case. And if I don't, either I'll get through it or it kills me. Either one's good. Either one of those is a good option. Right? So I guess it's that confidence comes from that kind of place. I don't know how you get there, but I think you just start understanding that that's the truth. The truth is, you'll get through it, or it'll kill you. And so if you're good with God, then you're good either way. That's what I got. Anyways, thank you so much, Meow. We appreciate the topic. I'm so happy that you're doing well and that things are going well for you. And I hope you keep up your positivity and your forward motion and all of this and self control and all that kind of stuff. So stay awesome, Meow. Thank you so much.
If you wouldn't,
Princess seems to.
if you wouldn't mind, I just read Pear's topic. I think we should do it. I don't think it'll take that long.
Yeah,
I have a great story to go with it too.
Okay, fantastic. Yeah, I was about to say that we should do it anyway. So sounds good. Moving right along.
Perfect. You see, you and me, Ryan, same wavelength, man.
I got you. I told you I absorbed the essence that you're wafting off.
Yeah. Man, oh man, wafting.
Yeah, it's so good.
They call me the wafter.
All right.
Yeah, but I took a shower.
This is from Pear.
It's all good.
I know. I can tell.
You can tell.
Yeah. Well, you might need to take a little bit more of a shower when you get done. Your left ankle.
My left ankle. That was the
I
bad
don't know
one.
what happened there.
Yeah, I don't know either.
I don't know. I think
missed
you
it.
didn't massage it well enough with the soap or something. Yeah. Yeah. It's all right though. The rest of you smells pretty great. This is from Pear. It's titled "Big Mistake at Work." Princess, can I go ahead and read it for us? Thanks, Princess.
Yes.
I was getting it for the chat.
That's okay. You're fine.
And also, the quote has been done solely. So, I made a pretty big mistake at work a few weeks ago. I didn't know how big it was when I made it, since none of the adults around me said anything, and I knew they knew much more about what I was doing, so I trusted that they didn't see anything as wrong at the time. The next week, I heard a mention of my mistake. No one said it was me, but they were like, some stupid person did this. And I just stayed silent. Come to this week, and I'm told to literally give away my mistake for free because we could not sell them because of how stupid it was. I cost the company money. I used resources that could have become profit for the company I work under, but instead I messed it up and now it costs them money. And the worst part is, I have no idea who knows that I'm the one that did it. I don't know what to feel, so my default in this situation is just to blame myself or blame someone else, and it's just so hard to deal with. From Pear.
Yeah.
I understand.
That's not easy to deal with.
No, it's not.
Yeah, my mom, I think, yeah, my mom was telling me a story recently where she went through this as well. Not recently, but when she was younger, she was hired and employed at a place, and it was back when printing was printed out of a weird, like she was printing labels for jars of canned food, right? And back in the day, it was a huge process. They didn't have computers. They had typewriters, kinda. What they had is this big machine that they would etch the letters out of, and then that big machine would make this huge stamp, and then from that stamp they press it through another machine, and that another machine would be able to take a picture of it and put out a smaller version of it, and then they take that smaller version and put it into another machine, and that machine would then make the small version of it even smaller and glue on one side, and then they would take that and put it on a can. So it was a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
My mom accidentally spelled the word vinegar wrong, and nobody caught it. And she was young, and so it got sent out to. It was put on like millions of cans.
Oh my gosh.
And the company didn't realize it before it was already on the shelves.
Oh my gosh.
And then it came back to them finally, and my mom figured out that it was her mistake, and so she told the boss, and she's like, I shouldn't be here. I shouldn't be working here. I can't spell. Like, I actually have a really big problem spelling. I don't know why you hired me. I can't work here.
That sounds
Not
like your
joking.
mom. That's awesome.
Right?
Yeah.
And so he said, no, it's my fault. It's my fault because, yes, yeah, you spelled it wrong, but it's my fault because I should have seen it. And I'm the one that sent it out. And I'm the owner of this company. And so the owner did the right thing. And he took the loss and he didn't blame it on my mom. And he said, no, you should keep on working here. Now, my mom couldn't bear it and she quit.
Mm.
But that man is an amazing person because they did the right thing. They tried, obviously it was my mom's mistake, but they took ownership of it because it's them who owns the company. And yeah, they could have spotted the mistake, but they didn't. They failed to, right? They didn't check their work. It doesn't mean that was his fault, right? Sometimes it isn't your fault, but you can take responsibility for it and ease other people's pain. And I think it did. But my mom eventually, no, that's not true. She still doesn't know how to spell. If she worked at that job, if she continued to work at that job, I bet you she'd be a great speller. But she quit, which is fine. But anyways, my point of that story is there's no moral of that one. It's just that it's relatable. This happens, and it stinks. But
I
anyways,
would disagree with that statement because what your mom did is she owned up to it. And
Yeah,
that's
but she
something
quit.
that I think is well, that's the
Okay,
other
yes,
half of the
yes.
story. That doesn't
Right,
mean
yes.
there's no moral
But there's
in it. Because
good.
again,
There's good.
Yes,
there.
you're right. There is a moral, and that is she owned up to it, and that is important. I think that is.
and that was the
absolutely
big
important. You're
thing
right,
that I wanted to say to Pear is it's okay to own up to mistakes. At work, not only have I failed an experiment that
Hold on one
probably
second.
cost. Sorry.
Princess, did you have anything you want to talk about? I didn't. Sorry, the chance of me to give it over to Princess was taken from me,
That's right.
so I felt
I got that
felt
chance.
robbed.
Well,
So
I'm
I wanted to give it to
sorry.
Princess.
I'm
Yes.
sorry.
Okay.
I did have
It's
something I'd
okay.
like to say.
Yes. Please do.
Awesome.
One of
I'm
the
really
things
excited to
that
hear what you
I-
have.
Something that I have learned from making mistakes at work is owning up to it. It's okay to do so, and it tends to make you feel better because, you know,
Mhm.
everyone does it. You know, I have at my own work, you know, I work in science. So when you make a mistake on a PCR for 171 samples, you're probably making about $1,000 cost thing. That's all your fault because you didn't do it right. You know, and it's not good. But I'm very lucky that also, you know, my workplace has always taken the loss in stride, you know, and been like, well, we're going to work on doing it right and fixing the mistake and getting it right rather than focusing on, oh, you're a terrible person for messing this up. But people mess up or things don't work out or something happens. I know another coworker of mine at work, she does MySeq runs, and each one of those cartridges is about $5,000. And she's had some of those fail repeatedly on her, and that's really tough, you know. But the big, because not only does it put, you know, samples behind schedule where people are like, hey, where's our stuff, and like you can't provide because it didn't show up or it wasn't working, you know, or not only is it costing you there, but it affects multiple other things too. And it's very easy to get wrapped up in, I'm a stupid, terrible, horrible person that's not qualified to do anything because all I'm gonna do is mess it up. But as Joe likes to say, who am I? Someone who messes it up, you know, and own up to it because it's better to be like, yeah, that's a mistake. I made it, you know, and work towards fixing it than it is to feel like you have to hide in the shadows, to feel like you have to hide in shame for, oh, I messed it up, I did this, you know, because everyone's going to make mistakes, you know, whether it's a small level mistake or a big level mistake or anywhere along the process where anyone else could have at any point stepped in and, you know, possibly done something. And then it's not cumulatively your mistake, but yours and someone else's and someone else's. And I know that's also sometimes why people don't say things. Now, I don't know about your situation in particular, but sometimes, again, what it is they understand, as you're probably someone who's newer to the workforce than, you know, like been working half your life or more, you know. So people who are newer to things, even if they've been there for a little while, like if you're doing something, like mistakes are going to happen. And it's better to own up to it than to have it be hidden, a secret that just keeps piling up and up and becomes a bigger mistake.
Yes.
Like if they didn't catch the vinegar thing, like for instance, like in that story, if she had caught her own mistake by chance, you know, as she nosed on the shelf, she was like, oh no, like I just lost my train of thought. But, you know, like if she were to own up and bring that up to them, that would be better for them to know that there's a mistake and fix it than it is to leave a mistake just there.
Now there is a little bit of a twist in this situation too. Apparently this must be a fairly big company, but Pear says, I want to own up to my mistake, but my coworkers are not understanding. My coworkers are mostly very quick to judge others, and so there's so much drama with my coworkers that I don't want to be a part of. I would own up to it if my coworkers were not mostly bigots who make a mountain out of a molehill as soon as someone makes a tiny mistake. And the worst thing is like 75% of my coworkers are female and over 50 years old. So, Princess, I'm sorry, were you done?
I can be done. You can go, Joe.
I'm sorry.
No, it's fine.
I totally didn't mean to interrupt you.
I can come back later. No worries.
Okay. Here's the thing. So I put it in the chat, and I'll say it out loud, too.
Joe, it's your turn. Go.
Thank you. Thank you, Ryan.
You're welcome. You have the floor. I'm the host here.
You are the host. Thank you. Thank you for the permission.
Yeah, you're welcome. I love you.
So, okay. So you work at a chocolate factory that is dispersed all over the state, including the famous Ocean City. Okay, cool. So, here's what I would do. I would not tell your coworkers. I would tell your boss privately. Or maybe your boss's boss. Or maybe your boss's 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 boss. Somebody with a higher authority that sees the bigger picture of the whole operation rather than just your fellow coworkers that see just this one little tiny part and see, oh, you made a mistake and blah, and then they just blast you, right? Because that doesn't lead to good things for anybody, right? And I'll tell a quick story about a big mistake I made. I used to work at a statewide company, musical instrument company, and I was in sales before I was in repair. And when I was doing musical instrument sales, I got this order on the phone for a tenor saxophone, for a professional line tenor saxophone. And all I could see, because we were on commission, right? And this was like a $4,000 saxophone. And I was going to make like $300 in commission. Woo! So I'm like, yes! This is sweet, this sale. Because I answered the phone, I get this great sale. And some weird things happened, you know, like with so we rang it up over the phone. We had a credit card number, and they wanted me to send it to a different address. It was kind of weird, you know, stuff like that, whatever. And all kinds of red flags did not go up in my head because I really wanted that $300 commission. But it turned out to be a stolen credit card. And it got canceled. The order got canceled. The payment got canceled. But I had already shipped out the saxophone. So they bought the saxophone. Everything was great. We shipped it. We shipped it that day, man. We were like, man, they made this big purchase. We're shipping it right now. Shipped it out that day. A couple days later, hey, Joe. Yeah, you remember that tenor sax you sold? Yeah, that payment got canceled. And I was like, no way. And it's already shipped. It's already gone. Yep. It's like, oh my gosh. And so, yeah, so I got harassed a little bit by my coworkers. Everybody knew about it. Everybody. But you know what? The company president, like the owner of the company, came and talked to me. Now, this wasn't unusual. I worked in the same location as he was in, and so he would come and talk to us once in a while, whatever, right? He came and talked to me, and he was like, so, what's up with that tenor saxophone? It's like, yeah, I screwed up. I would totally understand if you fired me. And he said the most profound thing to me I've ever heard. And he said, fire you? I just spent like $4,000 training you. And I was like, that is an interesting way of looking at it. He's like, I'm not going to fire you. I just paid money to train you. Like, but you know, because he knew that was going to be a really good learning experience. And even though, I mean, in a company that big, $4,000 is like, whatever, no big deal, right? I mean, it's a big deal, but it's still, in the grand scheme of things, not that big a deal. But that was the thing. It was like, wow. So that's why I would recommend, if you feel burdened to own up to it. How old was I when that happened? I was probably 25, 24, 25, something like that. That's why, because my coworkers, they all razzed me and gave me a bunch of garbage, right? They all just made fun of me and stuff. You know, or either that or they were mean about it. But the person in charge who saw the whole operation, that understood the whole operation, that would be the person to admit to your mistake to. Tell them about it, and tell it to them in private if you can. You know, just say, hey, can I talk to you for a minute? And then let them know, hey, you remember that mistake? Yeah, that was me. I feel really bad about it. I'm so sorry. You know, and they'll probably say something just, oh, you know, hey, stuff like that happens. It's happened before. No big deal. But your coworkers, they'll all nitpick all around you. Right? So that's why I would recommend taking it higher. So that's it. My floor, Ryan, in charge of the floor. You give the floor to who you bequeath the floor.
Okay, I'm going to give the floor to me. Duh. Okay. So I just wanted to say, Princess, the only reason I cut you off to give you the floor was because I was really excited to hear you go. And I was like, oh, sweet. And I'm going to share my excitement by giving her the floor. But then you just took the floor. And I was like, what? I get to share my excitement.
Well, I'm
So I had
sorry.
to take
I
it
was
back so I
also
could-
excited
Yes.
because
That's good,
because
that's
this
good.
situation like literally kind of just happened at work with someone.
Oh, yeah.
For one of
Yeah,
them, like
yeah.
I mean,
No,
not
I
that
really
I haven't.
appreciated
But...
your. I appreciate what you said on it. It's very valuable. I think, I would have to agree with Joe. Here's the thing. Pear, you could be silent about it, and it can eat at you, and someday, you'll probably stop working there.
Mm-hmm. And you'll get over it eventually, even if you say nothing.
Yeah, and if you say nothing, you'll eventually get over it. Yeah. Or you could take Joe's advice, which I think is the best advice, and tell your upper management, tell the boss or his progeny, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
You know, tell him that you know, obviously just like Joe said, hey, I feel really bad about this. I made a huge mistake and I'm so sorry. And this is what I did. Right. And either they will accept you and say, okay, thank you for telling us and move forward, or they'll fire you. Well, here's the thing. If they fire you, that's all right. Like, yeah, it's not ideal. And maybe you could have worked there longer if you never fessed up. But here's the thing. Like, it's better to get fired than carry the weight of that pain, I feel. Because you either carry that weight and lose your job anyways, eventually, or you lose your job right away, but you don't have to carry that pain. Now you might go, oh, I should have never told them because then I wouldn't be fired. What's the point of that, though? Like, is that job more important than the truth? Is that job more important than being a good person, being the best you? And I understand, like, that's income. That's my money, right? This thief could say the same thing, right? A thief sets aside his morals, robs someone else. That's his income. That's money. He worked for that. He snuck into a house or whatever, snuck into someone's purse, right? He worked hard for that money. That's his income.
He works hard for the money.
Doesn't make it right. Yeah. My point is, I think it's more important to be a good person than to be a rich person. And the job that you're working at isn't even making you rich. So there's not that much of a temptation. But I get it. Doesn't make it easier. I'm just telling you from my perspective. My perspective isn't always right, but that's my perspective. It's a little hard, but you're 17, so that's why I'm being a little hard. But it's because I love you, Pear. I think that you being an amazing individual and being who you are, even if you make mistakes, and being honest about it, I think that's way more fruitful and does you better in your whole life. Your whole life going forward will be better if you are truthful and honest, because then you become a better human being for the rest of your life. That's more important than money. But I get that the money is important. I'm not saying that money is not important, but I think most cases with most jobs, you'll find, thanks, Pear, you'll find that you're not going to get fired.
Yeah.
And it's, yeah, most of the time, like, I've not actually heard of anybody getting fired because of a big mistake like that. I know it happens. I'm sure it happens. You know, there's some people out there who are pretty bonkers. And they go, you cost me this much, you're fired. But most of the time, that's not how people react. And if they react that way, then you know what? Sounds like you need a better job anyways, because the people there kind of stink. You know what I'm saying?
If I worked in a chocolate factory,
there's more jobs out there.
Man, that'd be Temptation City. At least the first day.
Yeah. All right, that's what I got. I'm gonna give it back over to you, Princess.
Yes.
Okay. The one other thing I want to touch on is, you say that you're one of the youngest employees, so you feel like you get like a positive response. But keep in mind that they know your age when they hire you. Like that's something that they keep in mind, Like for someone who's more experienced or less experienced, like they look at that when they look at what it's going to take to have somebody be a part of their company. If it's someone who doesn't have a lot of experience in the field but has potential, they'll take a chance on that. And part of that is they understand that it's going to take some learning, that there's going to be bumps in the road. Whether you're 16 or you're 55, 60, 70, like,
Mm-hmm.
you know. I just wanted to make sure that that was clear too. That don't just think that because of your age or lack of experience that you're just going to be instantly replaced. Not that there aren't companies out there that'll do that, but you know,
Yeah, that's a good point, Princess.
Mm-hmm.
a company they aren't just a stern looking face, you know.
Yep. Well, and really, I mean, truth be told, if you have the right kind of boss, they will appreciate your honesty and they will value that over your
Yes.
over your perfection in the job, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and if you don't have the right kind of boss, I would strongly consider what Ryan said. Maybe it's not a great place to work anyway. Maybe, but the right kind of boss will value the fact that you're honest and just say, "Wow." And they'll probably be like, "You know what? We had to give away that for that mistake. We've thrown out more than that in the past." you know, because of something went bad or something went wrong or some formula went bad or whatever or something, right? So, but that's why you got to talk to someone who has knowledge of the bigger scope of the operation, right? So, and it doesn't have to be the president, it doesn't have to be like the highest falutin person, right? But just a few ranks higher than where you are. And I think you said that you had a friend who got you in there. Um, so yeah.
And again, I wasn't trying to say that you have to admit it or that you like should just go openly saying it to people who are going to start drama. That was
Right.
not my intention.
Yes.
That's just
Yeah.
my
Thank you.
particular workplace is more open with there is no stupid question is kind of the policy. Even if your question is, where is that thing again that I put away like 2 weeks ago? All right. Thank you. You know,
Mine
because
would be, where's the bathroom again? I still haven't found it. I've pretended I've gone there 4 times. Just kidding. I've been going outside in the bush.
but anyway, yeah.
Yes. Great
So,
topic. Thank you, Pear.
yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, Pear. I guess I think there was one final thing I wanted to say, but it's not coming to me. Something to do with age, maybe, or working there. Oh, this is the last thing I wanted to say. Joe was saying this. I think Princess might have said this too. A company isn't just a stern face. It's not just an empty face. A company is created by people, a people with passion, a people. It's created by people who have personalities, who have likes and dislikes. They're human beings. And what you should think about is when you go talk to someone who is the head of a company or close to the head of the company, that's a human being. If you can relate to them, if you can be their friend, you're not going to have a problem in the company. Does that make sense? Like, because if you want to get hired, you get a good relationship with the person who's going to put you down on the paper to hire you, right? That gets you in. If you want to get if you are having a problem in your workplace, the person that's going to deal with it is the person that's going to deal with it is going to be your boss. But your boss isn't going to deal with it if they look at you like you're not a person. But if you make yourself known as a real human being in front of them, they're going to be more compelled to help you, right? So if you go to your boss and you just say, "Hey, I'm going to be honest with you, and it's really hard for me to do this, but blah 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 blah," right? They're going to appreciate you for admitting your mistake, because that's going to be relatable to them because they've made mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to see you as a human being who can see them as a human being. You're going to form a relationship. Don't be afraid of that. That actually gets you in more than it gets you out. Right? Just as Joe was saying, they're going to have more of a problem firing you than anybody else in that company if you form a relationship with them.
Mm-hmm.
By letting them know, hey, you know, I think you're a human and I'm a human. That's why I'm coming to you. And I want to make this right, but I know I can't do anything. But I want to at least let you know what I did. And they're going to be impressed that you came forward. It's a lot easier to be impressed by someone who's come forward with their mistake and tells you about it than it is to be impressed with someone who's never made a mistake at all. And it's just true. I mean, you look at like shows like American Idol or whatever, right? And who do they have up there? The people that are like I don't know, what's the name of that lady? Boyles? What was her name?
Oh yeah, Susan Boyles.
Oh, Susan Boyles. Yes. Right? She was super famous. Why? Unfortunately, for all the wrong reasons. What I consider all the wrong reasons. She could sing, yeah. But why was she so famous? Because she was so discredited when she got up there by Simon, who said, "Oh, this person walked on stage like they'd never been on a stage before. This person is not prettiest to look at. She's super old. She probably doesn't have any talent. She's talking about some weird job that she's what? No." And then she sang, and she brought Simon to tears, right? And she's famous because she's a reflection of our humanity and how we think about ourselves. Simon treated her like we treat ourselves. And that's why she's famous. So it's a lot easier to relate to that person. So if you bear your shame in front of your boss, and I know that's hard, but if you do that, that really opens up their ability to relate to you and to like you, even though it's bearing your shame. So I hope that helps. If anybody has anything else, cool. If not,
what has two thumbs and is cool?
All right.
This guy.
The Kool-Aid Man. Oh, that guy too. I was thinking Kool-Aid Man. I don't know why. He has two thumbs, I guess.
What has two thumbs and likes chips? This guy.
And likes chips?
Yeah.
Nice. All right. Is this a movie reference?
I just remember.
Okay. Awesome.
I don't know. It's from my blast from the past.
Nice. Awesome. Well, thank you all so much for Don't Worry Wednesday. Thanks for being here. Thanks, Pear, for the topic. I hope that's helpful. It seems like it is. I'm proud of you, Pear. We wish you the very best. You're lovely. And yeah, to the rest of you, thank you so much for being here. You guys are awesome. We love you all. And also thank you, Princess, for being on the show with us and for joining us in the last segment and in discussion. And then also Joe for being amazing and wise. That's all for the day.
Wisecracker.
I will see you next Wednesday. And on that day, I will bear you witness my love for you. And I guess that will be that. So, bye-bye.
Love you guys.